I'm delighted you're joining us today because Lucille and I decided we'd better try and answer a couple of the questions that people like you are always asking. And the first one is always, how do you work together and how long have you been doing this? And what's Gita yoga really all about? And why do you seem to always be talking about children? So we thought we'd just playfully explore our background and share it with you so that you have some idea of why we're passionate about the things that we are passionate about. And then perhaps explore how this might have some value for you, because in the coming weeks, as you're able to tune in and just see what we're sharing, you'll know that it's coming from people who really love these aspects of living. Now, as for me, I guess I'd say I started working with children when I was 12, and that wasn't yesterday. And then I went off to study theology at Melbourne University and did things like pastoral psychology there for a while, and eventually found my way into education. And despite many efforts to go in the opposite direction, I seem to always be working with children as well as with adults. But the interesting thing is, having trained, I guess, in the 70s in education, and then gradually working through teaching in school, to move into the research department of our government work in Victoria. From there, the wonderful dream working at Gita allowed me to follow the dream of working with all age children and adults at the same time. So I think that's been one of the riches, to actually have prenatal mums and babies, or parents and babies, because sometimes it was dads, tiny babies, crawlers, toddlers, right up to school age, and then to work with kids after school and then adults in the evening. So that's about me, and where do you fit in? I might say this has been going on for the last 35 years, I think, at least.
Yeah,
it's quite a long time.
It all started when years ago a friend in at the church said, "You should meet Di, you'd like her." And my bristles immediately went up and thought, I'll choose my friends, thank you. But unbeknown to me, they had also said the same thing to Di.
You probably bristled in the same way.
But eventually we met, and actually we did just click. It seemed we had the same goals, the same visions, the same intentions for life. And for whatever reasons, our backgrounds had prepared us to do what we're doing. One of my early memories is just growing up thinking, I want to make things better. There must be a way to make things better, to make people happier, to make people feel more comfortable, that the world's not such an awful place. And it's always laughed about that I had read my way through the local library by the time I was about 12, including the adult section. And my father asked me a couple of times, where did you get that book from? Consequently, yes, my quest for knowledge has gone on and it hasn't stopped since. I might say my father also used to say that my first word as a baby was why. Not papa or mama or anything like that, but why. And I must say I haven't stopped asking that since. So constant research, constant growing, constant learning, in order to help people to understand what life is about, why we're here, what we've come to do, and how we can literally find our path. I'm tempted to call it the spiritual path, but then there's a lot of connotations for people in terms of religiosity. And the one thing Gita is not on about is religiosity. The whole principle behind yoga is union, or getting your show together. And it embraces all creeds, all philosophies, all backgrounds. In fact, it's the origins of all of those. So it's totally inclusive and totally all-embracing. And people find that having some of the philosophies that we talk about actually make each of their own personal religious journey much, much more meaningful and much, much more real.
So long as they're allowed to ask questions. And I was just thinking, I didn't have quite the same fathering that Lucille talks about, but I did have a grandfather who, when he died when I was 10, so this must have happened before then, and he said, "You'll forfeit your right to teach, young lady, when you cease to learn." So I guess that's part of this continuing learning, and a particular way we'd like to do that at Gita is say, think, and then think a bit more, so that you're going to ask the question that will allow you to have some information that you can build on. And that's why in these segments it's delightful, because they're all just responses. You've said to me during the week, what's happening with bullying in school? Okay, it might be a case of ask Lucille, because a transforming human is going to deal with that. That's the, what do we call it, almost a signature course.
And going a long time now.
Yeah, and that's a course that's going to explore, why am I here, who am I, what happens emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, right through all of the 7-year stages from 0 to the 70 years and 10.
Plus.
So it might be asking Lucille, or it might be swinging back to me. But if that topic of bullying has gone from being something that you're just morally outraged about and a little bit pious about it, to the point where it's a question and you're saying, what can I do about it? I don't have to wait until I'm Prime Minister before I can change it. So what can I do about it today? That's what these little segments are about. So I guess that's pretty much where we're coming from, as we're responding to your questions and sharing them to the best of our ability. So thank you for your patience, and I'm glad you're here.
Keep asking the questions. Don't ever stop.